Every day, people are facing problems with crime in terms of you can't walk on the streets without looking over your shoulder. Women are feeling unsafe, children are feeling unsafe.
What are the steps that you're going to take to reduce it?
Well, firstly, you need to have more policemen and to hire policemen with the right sort of expertise and talent. I want to review compensation. I want to have a segmented approach. In other words, it can't be a one size fit all. So I want to have separate, dedicated cells for, let's say, women crime. I want to make sure knife crime is given the sort of focus it deserves.
So can you specify some of the key pillars when you become the mayor of London?
Freedom of movement is as important as the freedom of speech. And London has actually come to a standstill. Traffic is not moving at all. I will transform London totally. I'm going to review security and safety, which is paramount, genuine affordable housing. And not enough investment has gone into existing social housing so that people can call a home and feel proud of where they live. That will take a lot of my energy and time. I believe in rolling up my sleeves, and I'll do the same for London. Make sure we bring investments in, we bring companies in, and when companies come in, we also create growth for jobs, job opportunities. I'm not one who will endorse all goals and priorities that may be set by the national government if it doesn't do good for London. I'm a strong voice for London and Londoners. I'll do the best for London.
Hello everyone, welcome to Staying Indian, the NRI podcast. Now today we are talking about London. London, which is home to 9 million population, $500 billion of GDP contribution to UK, largest city of UK, and around 7.5% of which is Indian population. Now to talk about London, I have a very esteemed guest with me, Mr. Tarun Ghulati.
Today we have with us Mr. Tarun Ghulati.
Tarun Ghulati.
Tarun Ghulati.
Tarun Ghulati.
Tarun Ghulati had a prolific career in investment banking and corporate finance. He has contributed to youth by his initiatives through fundraising and education. Now, Tarun Ghulati has taken a big challenge of leading London from the front as the Mayor of London. Welcome, Tarun sir.
Thank you so much, Gaurav, and to all your viewers. Good morning to all.
Thank you, Tarun sir, for being here. So, we are a bunch of investors, and how we start is with a problem statement. So, what I want to ask you is, why now? What is the problem that we are facing as Londoners, and what do you want to change?
Well, that's a fabulous question. London has been my home for 20 years, and it was a vibrant city where people were smiling and there were opportunities for growth. Today, if you look around London, security is at its lowest ebb, and where it comes to movement, it's become the most congested and the slowest city in the world. And there are over 270 communities, diaspora from different countries that live in London and call it home. They are, if you look around, they become insular, divided, and if you look at other aspects in terms of the growth for London, it's all stalled. So as far as I'm concerned, there's no better time to bring in somebody with my experience and somebody who can look at each Londoner in the face and do good for everybody. I have a leveling up agenda so I can bring back the smiles on the faces of every Londoner, empower them with growth and trust.
So, sir, are there any particular areas in London which you feel are more disconnected?
Well, as an independent candidate for Mayor of London, I think when you look at a chain, it's all joined up. When you see a plane taking off on a runway, a lot of factors come together. So, while yes, there are pockets which may have more incidents of crime, or there may be pockets which are sort of feeling left behind, but I want to bring London together. I want to make sure everybody is thriving and smiling, and there is opportunity for growth. So, as far as I'm concerned, I want to bring Londoners along in this journey because it's all about the people. Politicians have blurred the vision for London and Londoners.
Yeah, definitely. So, any anecdotes or examples that you can share which has led you to believe that there is a increase in the crime rate, or any particular instance that you faced firsthand?
Well, firstly, I was mugged personally. I live in an area which was considered one of the safest in London. I was walking on my high street when two people came from behind on a motorcycle, pushed me, took away my telephone, and I was injured and for weeks had a big scar on my leg. And every day, every day, people are facing problems with crime in terms of you can't walk on the streets without looking over your shoulder. Women are feeling unsafe, children are feeling unsafe, different communities, different areas are not feeling secure. And 19 teenagers lost their lives last year to knife crime, and that's one life lost too many. So at the end of the day, I want to make sure London becomes a safe place where I will tackle crime with a fervor it's never been seen before. So there are several initiatives I have in mind as the next mayor of London, which will bring about security and safety for all.
Definitely, no. These are really serious offenses, and as you said, one life lost is many. And what I want to also know is, I was doing some research, and crime rate in London is back or even higher than what it was before COVID hit. Right. So, what is your vision? What are the steps that you're going to take to reduce it?
Well, firstly, you need to have more policemen and to hire policemen with the right sort of expertise and talent. I want to review compensation. I want to make sure that the police stations that have been shut down are reopened, new police stations opened where crime is rising. I want to have a segmented approach. In other words, it can't be a one size fit all. So I want to have separate, dedicated cells for, let's say, women crime. I want to make sure knife crime is given the sort of focus it deserves. Um, Homicide, so you have different sorts of expertise where it comes to cybercrime. There's already a cell existing, but I want to bring more focus. For instance, I advise the police in different countries through my involvement as a strategic advisor with the Global Cyber Alliance. So I understand an element of policing. I also want to have a league table for policemen. In other words, if somebody is underperforming and crime is rising in a particular policeman's beat, then he or she needs more training, or we know what happens in the corporate world if you don't perform. So I want to make sure there is accountability, and we ensure that there's policing that actually serves the people, and crime rates come down all across London.
So we kind of dwelled into crime directly, but there are a lot of different key pillars. I'm sure you must be having as a vision for London. So can you specify some of the key pillars when you become the mayor of London?
Well, firstly, the freedom of movement is as important as the freedom of speech. And London has actually come to a standstill. Um, Traffic is not moving at all. There are certain bad policies that have brought this about, and that is not sort of improving the air either. So each average driver in London is spending 156 hours driving around in congestion. That is not only polluting the air, but that is also costing them 100 and I think it's about 1,375 odd pounds for each average driver. What that means is there is something what is called it's a disaster of a policy called the ultra low emission zone. So somebody who's entering London driving a non-compliant car registered after a certain date, um, well, what happens is you're going to pay £12.50. Then there's a congestion charge, which means you pay another additional £15. I'm going to abolish ULEZ totally. I'm going to make sure congestion charge becomes history over the weekends and holidays. And then you have the 20 mile per hour speed limit. Now, traffic needs to move. Now, 20 miles per hour is all right if you're close to a school or a hospital or certain areas where you actually need to ensure you go slow. But otherwise, you've got to make sure traffic is moving. So I'm going to increase that limit again. And then there is a low traffic neighborhood scheme which operates in different areas. So if you got to go to point A from point B, you got to take a circuitous route which needs to be avoided. So I'm again going to review that to ensure that we can get rid of low traffic neighborhoods. When you do all this, there will be movement, there'll be growth, and you will find that the air will be cleaner. So that's my intention. And again, people have a lot of use for public transport, which is fantastic in general, but little or no investment has gone in there. So I want to make sure there's investment there and public transport becomes, more efficient, more equitable for all. And again, I'll review certain areas to make sure strikes become history.
No, definitely transport is the lifeline of any city, and when public transport stops, everything stops. So it's very essential to have a smooth and, as you said, non-polluting and sustainable transport system for a big city like London. Now, as important as transport, I think there is, small and medium enterprises. I see that unemployment rates are rising high for London. What are your plans to tackle unemployment and help small and medium enterprises?
Well, that's an excellent point. The SMEs are the lifeline of any city, every country, and they contribute to about 75% of the GDP. And I've been helping SMEs for decades now, firstly as a banker when I used to lend money. And I'm currently the co chair and co founder of India's largest startup foundation, which has gone international. And we last year we had about participation of 11 countries, 11,000 plus startups came down to India. And with that sort of a backdrop, you got to bring people along. You got to make sure that there is funding, mentorship, the opportunity for growth. You make sure you make things easier to do business. So I've got a plan where I can ensure that SMEs get more focus, they're nurtured, and there is enough funding available. So given I've run banks, including as its chairman, I can see the bottlenecks where funding is concerned and make sure if there's a good plan and it's solving a problem, then indeed it should get some funding. And I deal with venture capitalists and angel investors amongst many others. So I'll make sure I handhold. I also run a program called the 21st Century Icon Awards, which has now been going for 7 years, helping individuals across the world. And so far, we've nurtured and fostered individuals from 44 countries. And that basically means that they come to London and, well, obviously, firstly, they're recognized for the good work they're doing across various sectors. And apart from that, you give them a platform for growth. So I've been doing that. So there's a lot of experience. I launched SME businesses across Asia Pacific when I was the operations manager international for HSBC out of Hong Kong for 14 countries. So I've been, deep rootedly involved in initiatives which nurture and foster the SMEs across the globe. And I'm going to make sure London and London's businesses see that come into play when I'm the next mayor.
That's an excellent track record, Mr. Tarun, in terms of
Thank you.
helping businesses, and I'm sure you are the right person for the job. So I think this is one of the key questions that everyone would ask you. What is your first 100-day and first 200-day plan when you are in the office?
Well, firstly, that's a myth. There are certain things you do and certain things that you continue to do. So, as far as I'm concerned, I will transform London totally. So, bring about transformational change. You need to hit the ground running, and that's correct. You start from day one. Certainly, I'm going to review security and safety, which is paramount. I'll make sure there are key advisors who understand security and safety that come into play apart from the metropolitan police and other police forces, particularly in the City of London. I will make sure I bring in leveling up is very critical. There are 2.2 million people living in poverty in London. 33% of them are children. And there is not good and enough affordable housing, genuine affordable housing. And not enough investment has gone into existing social housing so that people can call a home and feel proud of where they live. That will take a lot of my energy and time. I want to make sure I take everybody along. And so there will be city planning experts that will make sure we do the best thing for the people. I indicated on traffic, so I want to get cracking on that on day one to make sure the ultra low emission zone cameras come down totally. And I refer to congestion charge and the 20-mile-per-hour limits and the other aspects of traffic. Um, uh, I'll bring about that transformational change where movement of traffic is concerned. And where communities are concerned, I hinted that they need to come together singing from the same hymn sheet. So you make sure all communities, all boroughs, you get local input from the boroughs. So I intend to visit all the boroughs. As a journey, as a candidate today, I go to all the boroughs, so I have a good understanding of the problems. But then there'll be time to bring together all that understanding and knowledge that I'm gaining today and understanding the problems and issues, but actually bring experts from different boroughs, get their input so that it shouldn't be a patchwork sort of leadership that is currently running under the current incumbent. London was a set of villages that came together. And I want to make sure I get input from all Londoners into our decision making process, not individually, but collectively. The thought process needs to be such that the issues, the aspirations sometimes differ from communities. And I want to make sure that comes in together because, as I hinted earlier, it shouldn't be a one size fits all. So that's my aspiration over the first 100 days to make sure that the key problems that London is facing today in terms of security and safety, in terms of movement, it's become the slowest and the congested city, I said earlier, and in terms of the leveling up agenda that I have in mind to make sure we take a stronger approach to ensuring each Londoner feels happy and I bring back the smiles on the faces of each Londoner.
No, definitely. And I think, technology is taking a big shape in terms of when it comes to city management. And I went through your profile as well. You have a good understanding of technology. So in your vision, how important is technology and, the upcoming technologies like artificial intelligence? How do you want to use them to manage your vision?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. Firstly, I want London to be the most digitally connected city in the world. Now, technology is key in terms of making sure you bring the best for London. So certain things can be done better, faster, more efficiently with technology, but it is not my intention to do away with people. Technology is designed to facilitate, foster growth and exponentially improve efficiency sometimes in certain aspects. But I want to make sure it does not impact on the aspirations of individuals because one of the key things is you create more opportunities for growth for each individual and jobs. But at the same time, there are certain things that we've done more efficiently. So I want it to be the most technology driven city where innovation thrives. With innovation, obviously, artificial intelligence you referred to is one aspect that we will certainly take advantage of and bring in the experts to make sure they can look at each aspect, how we can make sure our transportation works better, our city planning works better. There are good regeneration programs that use technology and we use those experts to delve deeper into how we can make things more efficient. So it's a key question, and I'll make sure We utilize the best in the world where technology is concerned.
Great. So, also, I was going through your profile and, having the prolific career you had, you must be traveling around the world. So, any examples of key cities that you find are doing something good that you want to implement in London as well?
Well, that's again a great question. Indeed, I've traveled to all continents and worked across continents, whether it is to do some mergers and acquisitions or whether it's running entities. I think Singapore springs to mind. It's a safe city where people are technologically driven. The capita income is high, and it's green or getting greener every day, and where you can take a leaf out of in terms of whilst people are working hard, but they're earning for their living. So you find that the poverty levels are not what you see here, and we referred to technology earlier, and innovation is fantastic there. So whilst we do have a very robust startup ecosystem in the UK, certainly we can marry some ideas between the two. So Singapore certainly is one city where I used to go on some board meetings. It's we can take a leaf out of Singapore's book, certainly.
Okay, no, and definitely, I think Singapore is one of the leading examples when it comes to smart city, how smart cities should be built. So it's great. Also, if you come to financial services, I think London is one of the key hubs of the world, and there are a lot of companies which are opening in this sector and closing down as well. Why do you think that is happening? A lot of startups coming in this segment and then have to close up.
Well, firstly, if you step back and look, say, about a couple of decades ago, there were around 25 Fortune 500 companies, global headquarters based in London. Today, I think there are it's fallen off a cliff. It's no longer in the top five. And I think it's around eighth on the league table now. And there are only about eight odd companies that Fortune Global 500 companies that have their headquarters here. But there are several reasons. Firstly, the financial crises of 2008, 2009 did not help. Then we had Brexit, so we exited from our relationships with Europe, and then COVID came along. That hasn't helped, and we've had a sort of a revolving door as prime ministers are concerned. So politically, there has been an element of instability. Uh, I alluded to the fact about security. So if you're a CEO today and your company says, you need to move now to a new place, and you come to your family and say, look, I'm going to London, it's very likely that the lady in the house is going to say, well, I don't feel safe going to London. I hear a lot of stories. I feel we'll be stuck in traffic, and we'll be, I've got children I want to take around, and we're going to take hours doing that. And I believe people are not feeling very good and happy with the situation there. So these are some of the reasons where the individuals may decide not to move to London. So apart from aspects of cost of living being high, of course, there are other aspects of security, safety, movement that come into play. And so people will find that companies, as you alluded to, while some are still coming here, there are those that are choosing not to. And that's the London needs a champion, and the current mayor has not been a champion for London. I've lived, as you said, all over the world, across continents. I believe in rolling up my sleeves, and I'll do the same for London. Make sure we bring investments in, we bring companies in, and when companies come in, you also create growth for jobs, job opportunities, and indeed, London thrives again as one of the greatest centers in the world,
Yeah.
where it's like a global bank, where different communities, different cultures, different cuisines. It's also a great cultural city. You got all the good museums and the theaters. I want to ensure all these things come back, give tourism a new focus. And that's the whole vision that I have for London.
Yeah, definitely. And we are living in a social media age where, a smallest of event is highlighted on social media and gets viral around the world. So even a smallest incident that happens in London travels across the world and everyone knows. And as you said, it kind of creates a notion around a city being unsafe or, people being not safe when they're on streets. So it's definitely crucial. Apart from economic development, there is a hand-holding of ecological preservation and sustainability that needs to go in the planning now. So, what are some of the key policies and initiatives apart from the transformation in transport that you said that you will do in terms of preserving the ecology?
Well, I do believe that the SDG goals are critical. I also want to make London the greenest city in the world, and that's not going to happen overnight. Recycling is important. Tackling of waste is important. I refer to regeneration projects. I want to make sure I utilize the brownfield land efficiently and make London a greener city. I alluded to the fact that once I get London moving again and the traffic moves sensibly, you will pollute the air less because 156 hours wasted in congestion is doing no good to the air above us. And I'm going to try and make sure that the noise pollution, even the underground system, which is one of the oldest in the world, there is pollution there too, noise pollution. So that is also impacting the mental health of a lot of people. That needs to be tackled. I mentioned investment going into transportation, particularly the public transport systems, is critical. And whilst I do believe that the electric cars and other aspects need to be brought in, but it has to be brought in sensibly. So nothing that I will do should make people more inconvenient. I want to make sure they're happier. So I'm not one who will endorse all goals and priorities that may be set by the national government if it doesn't do good for London. I'm a strong voice for London and Londoners. I'll do the best for London. Indeed, I want to make it the greenest city. So there are several initiatives where, as I alluded to, which we will make sure we bring into the fore on day one. But that does not mean Londoners should be inconvenienced in any way.
I have experienced the noise pollution that you were mentioning in the subways of London. Myself, my brother lives in London, so I know what you're saying, and it kind of bothers me a bit more than others. But yeah, definitely that would be a good initiative if we can do something about that. Also, I belong to Indore. I come from Indore, India, which is the cleanest city in India, and there are some of the really good initiatives that a government has taken to turn that around and make it the cleanest city. So I think there are some parallels there as well. But my final question to you, sir, would be, as an independent candidate, what are some of the advantages that you have over other candidates?
Well, that's again an excellent question. Firstly, getting on the ballot as an independent, I'm the only Indian person of Indian origin who's on the ballot, but indeed of Asian origin. Uh, that was very, very tough. So let me paint a picture for you. If you're a party candidate, you lost no sleep. I was working 22 hours each day for the last 1 month because you had to go to all the 32 boroughs in London and the City of London, get 10 signatures from residents in those boroughs, but also get electoral numbers. Now, none of those councils, the election offices, those election offices did not provide those numbers immediately, and it took a lot of pain and effort to make sure they came along. And then you had to present those to the election commission here. it was something that you can't believe. Very, very difficult. That is why a lot of it, there were 20 candidates on the ballot last time. There are only 13 this time. So that's the first part. It's not easy for an independent to come on the ballot. Now, you don't have those election registers, electoral numbers, you don't have all the details until you're on the ballot. And I'm on the ballot now. Believe me, for the last 10 days, I still haven't got those registers. So you can't contact people very easily. So it's very difficult. Now, it's also very difficult in terms of where it comes to the media and the press. They seem to be looking at only those big parties, and they think it's only for them to win. But they forget that the first mayor of London was an independent. Of course, he belonged to a party later and before. But when he fought the election, he fought it as an independent, Mr. Ken Livingstone. So independents can win, and that is why I will win, because people are sick and tired of politicians who blurred the vision for London and Londoners. They've stopped thinking about people, and it's a democracy where people pay to a common purse, making sure that their elected representatives do the best for them. But the politicians are not doing that, and I believe they will find that an independent like me will win only because they've done nothing over there. There is a conservative candidate who is a member of the General Legislative Assembly, and she, well, if she was there when all these decisions were being taken or not being taken by the current incumbent, then, well, she was not effective. And so, what is for us to believe that the current incumbent, who's been a mayor for 8 years, will do better over the next 4, and somebody who was part of the system was meant to have kept the current mayor on the straight and narrow and ensured that the right policies were in play for the people, hasn't managed to do that. So I think it's time for somebody like me, and that's why you need a bold, decisive person. And geopolitically, we are at an inflection point globally, and you need somebody who understands different cultural nuances, people who's lived across the world, who can ensure everything comes together. Our effort to a plane taking off for a runway, London's plane will soar high under my leadership as the next mayor of London.
Definitely, and our best wishes from Staying Indian family. I'm sure your hard work will pay off. Any final messages for our viewers?
Well, I need all your support, on your blessings, and indeed your vote on the 2nd of May. So I humbly request every Londoner to come out and vote for me on 2nd of May, 2024. I need the blessings of everybody who's watching me today and who are not part of the voting process here. It matters to me. I believe in positivity. I'm a perennial optimist. So I want everybody to pray for me and tell all their friends living in London to come out and vote for me. So thank you very, very much for your time today, and to all your listeners.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking out time from our busy schedule for us, and thank you for doing this podcast with us. Jai Hind.
Thank you once again. Jai Hind.